Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're plunging straight into a grim, dark, gothic fable. It's a mythic quest that charts the journey from devastating, icy solitude all the way to an ultimate cosmic homecoming. We're going to use this story to unpack some seriously deep concepts. Think Nietzschean philosophy, the classical archetype of the wanderer, and literally the unmaking and remaking of reality itself. It's a wild ride, so let's get right into it. So let's start at the edge of this existential precipice. Think about it. Where do you go when you've completely stripped away all those comforting societal myths and unmasked every single god? Well, you basically become a homeless phantom trapped in a boundless, silent vacuum of your very own making. We're not just talking about feeling a little lonely on a Friday night here. This is that terrifying, absolute isolation that hits when you realize, oh man, I am entirely responsible for my own meaning. Because up here, the air is simply way too thin for illusions. Picture our solitary traveler, the wanderer, standing right on the frozen spine of the highest mountain. He's purposefully chosen what Friedrich Nietzsche called the icy exile of the seventh solitude over the warm, comfortable herd down below. Up here, the tracks of men have completely vanished. It's just pure, unadulterated reality. Section 1. The Frozen Exile and the Valley of Scholars. Looking down from this gray, freezing abyss, our wanderer faces a profound weariness, the kind that threatens to literally turn his stone-hard willpower into ash. And right below him is exactly what he escaped, the misty lowland of the scholars. You see, the philologist of the valley spends their entire life parsing the corpses of ancient words, mistakenly trading the actual blood of the living for the dry ink of the past. They analyze life instead of actually living it. They're basically the original armchair critics, hiding behind the safety of academic syntax, using language to entirely mask the truth of the world. And you can clearly see the stark contrast here between these two worlds. On one side, you've got the traditional herd, right? They're down in the warm valleys, relying on inherited morality, resting easy in their external sanctuaries and divine commandments. But on the other side, there's the wanderer. He's enduring the frozen peaks, having utterly shattered those old tablets of morality to face complete existential exile. It's the exhausting, relentless reality of walking alone versus the comfortable illusion of just following the crowd. Section 2. The Gathering of the Shades. Now, just as the wanderer's nihilism and exhaustion hit their absolute breaking point, this low, rhythmic resonance starts to vibrate right through the marrow of his bones. This is the chorus mysticus. And what's really fascinating is how it totally subverts traditional religious ideas of a homecoming. Old theology, it offers soft hymns of a distant heaven, demanding a submissive posture of prayer and some kind of rescue from above. But the tragic chorus? No way. They are visceral. Made of primal earth forces and the tragic spirits of history, they don't want your prayers or submission. They challenge you to dare to create meaning directly out of the chaos. So, instead of offering an escape route, this collective chant acts as a dense, powerful counterpoint to the howling mountain wind. Those barren peaks suddenly transform into a colossal, tragic amphitheater. The agonizing friction of the wanderer's existence isn't erased or magically fixed. Rather, it's distilled into this grand cosmic song, giving his pain an immense theatrical gravity. Section 3. The World as Shifting Text. As this happens, the wanderer looks down from his peak, and reality itself begins to shift. This brings us to what we call Dionysian philology. Remember those valley scholars using language to mask the truth? Well, through the rigorous lens of the tragic philologist, the physical universe is transfigured into a poetic text. It's no longer a static divine commandment etched in stone. It becomes a living, shifting landscape of raw metaphors that you actively have to untangle and repurpose to reveal the actual truth of your life. And this triggers a thunderous realization from the chorus. All that is transitory is only a symbol. That single powerful thought completely strips the material world of its literal crushing weight. The temporary, fleeting nature of the world isn't some tragic flaw to mourn anymore. It's a symbolic landscape waiting to be dynamically interpreted. Unmasking these metaphors really changes the whole game. His past errors, that deep guilt, they aren't static sins written in some eternal ledger anymore. They're raw, poetic metaphors. And crucially, his mortal limitations, the ones that felt so radically insufficient down the lowlands, are now elevated into an aesthetic necessity. They become the exact artistic resistance he needs to sculpt his own monumental, sovereign meaning. You literally need the resistance of the stone if you're going to carve the statue.
Moving on to Section 4, the Faustian Struggle.
To truly grasp why the Wanderer is driven so relentlessly, we've got to look at the Faustian struggle. He embodies the pure tragedy of homelessness, caught up in this eternal, restless, aggressive striving. It's that familiar feeling of hitting a massive goal only to immediately feel hollow and chase the next one, because you can never just say, "Stay, thou art so fair." He's in perpetual motion, desperately needing the fluid, universal affirmation of the Dionysian drive to finally balance him out.
And because of that restless striving, every single landscape he crosses, every mountain, city, and valley, is merely a temporary marker for his spiritual evolution. His agonizing trials were never definitive failures or dead ends. They were just the necessary, symbolic landscapes he had to pass through on his quest. He couldn't own the landscape. He just had to move through it.
Section 5. A Dionysian Cosmic Homecoming. At long last, we hit the climactic crescendo of our fable, where the Wanderer's aggressive masculine energy finally meets its match. The melody shifts, and we hear, "The eternal feminine draws us upward." Now, this is a magnetic, overwhelming pull. But don't mistake this for some romantic surrender to an external savior coming to rescue him. It's actually an organic dissolving of the very heights he fought so incredibly hard to conquer. The eternal feminine acts as the cosmic womb of eternal recurrence. It's a primordial, creative gravity that loves, destroys, and endlessly regenerates all form. Here, the outsider is finally brought inside. He's drawn upward, not by some strict rope of moral duty, but by the irresistible allure of becoming a self-contained work of art. By yielding to this creative gravity, the Wanderer finally lets go of his defensive, icy isolation. Which brings us to the ultimate resolution of our grim fable, Amor Fati, the profound love of fate. This is the exact moment his endless, agonizing wandering is perfected. He transforms the existential exile into the ultimate, joyous affirmation of life. He embraces everything that has happened, every mistake, every painful step, not as a burden, but as a joyous necessity. He's no longer fighting the universe. He's engaged in a triumphant, fluid dance with it. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question. Will your own wandering end in the ashes of exhaustion, or in the joyous, sovereign dance of Amor Fati? Next time you find yourself facing the freezing winds of your own high mountains, ask yourself how you're going to choose to read the text of your existence. Are you going to just carry the burden, or are you going to dance with it? Thanks for joining us, and keep searching for your own sovereign meaning.